Several European countries are sending troops to Greenland in a show of support for Denmark as it tries to persuade President Trump not to take over the island. This comes as a bipartisan delegation of U.S. lawmakers is in Copenhagen this morning for talks with Danish and Greenlandic officials. For more on this, we're joined by CBS News Congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. Hi, Caitlin. Good morning. So tell us a bit about what we can expect from this meeting and what the delegation can really achieve materially.
Hey, well, it's so great to see you guys. I very much identify with the toddler party circuit, Vlad. So we're embarking on that journey ourselves this weekend in the cold. This is so significant, guys, this delegation. If you've been wondering for the past year or so, where has Congress been? You're not alone. They have given the wide deference to the president and to the executive on a variety of different things. But here is where you're starting to see Congress try to re-exert itself. You have a small but bipartisan delegation in Denmark right now, essentially embarking on a shadow diplomacy tour to kind of remind folks there that, you know what, despite what the president says, despite these, potential, talks of military intervention in Greenland, there's still a group of us up here, they're saying that care about diplomacy, that care about NATO, and are willing to kind of buck the administration here. You have a couple of Republicans on this delegation, CODEL as they're called, which is significant too. I do want to play a little bit of sound. So far, they just gave a press conference while there. Let's play a little bit of sound so you can hear kind of what message they are trying to send to their counterparts.
We spoke about the value of NATO and the commitment to respecting the core principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and self-determination. And we spoke with clarity about the importance that the people of Greenland make their decisions about their future. So it was a constructive and hopeful dialogue, and we look forward to continuing.
And I think it is important to underscore that when you ask the American people whether or not they think it is a good idea for the United States to acquire Greenland, the vast majority, some 75%, will say, we do not think that that is a good idea.
And guys, this is coming against the backdrop of some important context up here on Capitol Hill. Just a couple of days ago, you may remember that the Senate voted to squash this war powers resolution regarding Venezuela, essentially under a pressure campaign from the White House to, not limit the president's powers when it comes to potential military action in Venezuela. Fast forward a couple of days, the story about Greenland is very different up here, guys. Talking to lawmakers over the past several days, there is much more concern up here, especially among some Republicans, when it comes to potential involvement in Greenland than there is in Venezuela. So that just gives you a little bit of context about how Congress is feeling right now. Does anything come from this? Who knows? But the idea is that they are going there to kind of show something of a show of force. But we'll see whether this has any deterrence. And, by and large, this has been a Congress, the Republican-led Congress, that has been very deferential to the president.
Yeah, but as you say, Caitlin, it should give the president pause. I've seen Representative Don Bacon from Nebraska calling it the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's a quote. He gave that to a local newspaper in his home state of Nebraska. And he even suggests that if the president were to carry out his threats to use military force to take Greenland, that could be impeachable. And I've heard from both Tom Tillis, who's a Republican, and others that they would be able, they think that they have enough traction to implement that War Powers Resolution Act that would be veto-proof. In other words, Republicans and Democrats locking arms together to prevent the president from doing this without congressional approval.
And that's the key, Vlad. And you mentioned Tom Tillis. He is on that CODEL right now. And you may remember he gave a very fiery floor speech. Notably, he's not running for re-election, so he has been pretty unencumbered in his criticisms of this administration. He didn't support the War Powers Act when it came to Venezuela. A different tune here, which goes to show the difference here. And the difference is NATO. There is lots of concern about what this would mean for the NATO alliance. And you heard Jeanne Shaheen earlier today in different remarks saying that we're here to reassure that alliances matter no matter what the other conversations are.
Yeah, a huge difference because Europe is our main security partner, financial partner. We didn't have that with Venezuela, which was mainly isolated from the U.S. So this is really
Huge
interesting.
difference.
Yeah, Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you so much.
Good luck with the toddlers.
You guys too.